So today I want to talk about ego and how it affects our manifestations and the things that we're trying to create and make happen in our lives. And, when it comes to ego, I feel like it's just like any other thing in this world. It is a frequency. It's thought energy. It's air energy. It is not tangible in the sense of being able to hold on to it. It is something that we don't necessarily see. And in some cases, we may not even recognize is there. We might see it in others, and we might have trouble seeing it in ourselves. But it is a frequency indeed. And with regard to it being a specific frequency, whatever this is, this ego, however it's coming in, it is going to resonate to a particular frequency. And then others who you come in contact with that resonate with a similar frequency are going to be attracted. You're going to find connection there. And when it comes to, not having that ego-based frequency, you will not attract those type of people. Those people won't be interested in someone who isn't willing to play the ego game, which is a big, huge problem with the topic of ego in the first place, is because it was created by man and it is imposed by man. So, and I don't mean man, I mean human beings. So when somebody has created their entire existence and their identity is based on an ideal or an ego-based creation, let's just say it like that, an ego-based creation, they expect others to play that game as well, because it's kind of like, well, I have to follow these rules and so do you, right? Why shouldn't you follow the same rules that I'm feeling like I have to follow? Well, they don't have to follow those rules either, and they didn't have to follow those rules at all. But a lot of people justify their behavior, they justify their insecurities, they justify their misgivings by filling that area, filling that gap with ego-based things, materially driven ideas, ideals, concepts, beliefs, actions. And ultimately, it really is the thing that causes us unhappiness. It's always going to be your ego. It's the root of why you might be unhappy about any number of situations. And it's because it's that unrealistic, untrue little liar that lives within inside of us, right? It's the voice that tells you that you're better than something, or that you're more capable of doing something than maybe someone else. It might be the thing that makes us feel overconfident and better than, and all of these things that probably aren't true. Whatever it is you do, there's probably someone out there that does it better. And that's just something that, someone with less ego would understand and not want to really battle with, right? But like I said, that ego will attract certain other types of ego-driven, ego-based energies and frequencies. And that may not be what you genuinely desire to have in your life. Some people may, and that may be because, that ego-driven facade has been built up so big that, there's just no taking it down, Some people, have that comfort zone. It's like a pile of trash that protects them, in some way from having to be genuine and having to be honest and having to be real with other people, because for some people that is absolutely terrifying. Being real, being genuine, being honest, and being humble is very difficult for some people. And I will have to say, for some people that have encountered egotistically driven energies, and maybe even out of your own ego, you may have had experiences with someone whose ego was bigger than yours. And that meant that it came at your expense. And you may have even been humbled by people with such huge egos that they couldn't accept certain realities that maybe you were forced to accept. And so ego is kind of funny in that way, that we can really learn some very humbling lessons from ego. And it also very much attracts a dark energy. It leaves us susceptible to the unseen energy that really affects us. And some of you may feel like it's spirits or evil or whatever the case may be. I just feel like it's a resonance, it's a frequency that is disharmonious, whatever that frequency may be when it comes to being unhappy and feeling sad or dissatisfied or inadequate, something like that, right? And so when we have these inadequacies, we have these traumas, we have these openings in our electromagnetic field, these weak spots, and that is where that dark energy attaches, and that is that frequency that kind of sticks with you, you know. And I know every single one of you have had an experience where it's like something just keeps happening all day long, you know, and I feel like that's when we've got that frequency really hanging in our electromagnetic field and it needs to be cleared, right? And there are videos here where I discuss ways of clearing that electromagnetic field, and of course there'll be more in the future, but for the sake of the discussion, you need to know that they're there in the first place. And so that ego, you know, like I said, creates these susceptibilities and makes us more, you know, it just kind of draws us in to it and makes us have to strive for more. It's kind of like if you tell a lie, then you might need to tell 10 or 20 more in order to support that lie. Ego is that lie. And it's that thing that constantly needs to be fed. It constantly needs attention. It constantly needs someone to tell it that it's acceptable. It needs other people in order for it to sustain, of course. And that's, you know, like I said earlier, that's why it's so hard to escape, because other people want to impose these egotistical ideals onto you because they want to make themselves feel better about whatever it is they do, and they may be very insecure or they may feel very inadequate down at the core of things. It's like once you've removed all of the superficialities, what is left? And that is the question when it comes to, you know, having a very, very grounded based foundation and knowing and coming from a place where you're genuine and humble and your focus is love, instead of your focus being, I want everybody to see me like this, and I want everything to look like this, and I have to do this in order to get this, and if someone gets this without doing this, then they're not acceptable. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it gets kind of crazy, but it definitely drives our feelings of greed, inadequacy, self-hate. It makes us feel like we are better than what we are, and maybe make us feel like we are more capable of achieving something when maybe we're not as capable. So it has this false sense. It will lie to you. It will tell you that you're better than. Sometimes it'll tell you that you're not good enough. And sometimes it can force us to shy away from things that are really good for us, things that we should pursue, but that ego gets in there and says, well, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're not smart enough. Maybe you're not rich enough. Maybe you're not good looking enough. Maybe you're not whatever enough to be, you know, a part of this ego game. And that can cause you to just miss out on so much in life. And so when it comes to, you know, that ego getting in the way of you're doing something that you know is going to be good for you or you feel you're right for, you need to push that ego aside and approach whatever that situation is with honesty and be genuine and open and just allow things to kind of go the way they will, because I promise you, when you're genuine and honest, you can't make a mistake. You can't be wrong doing the right thing in this situation. And the only one that you can be wrong with is someone that's trying to hold up their stupid ego-driven, you know, farce or fallacy. And they're the only ones that you could ever be wrong with, because if you're right and you're good and you're coming from love, anyone that's matching that energy is going to meet you halfway. So there's the beauty in allowing your ego to slide off to the side and saying, you know what, I'm not going to allow that to encroach on the decisions that I make in the future. Fear. Yeah, the fear is a huge driving factor when it comes to ego. There's a lot of fear of inadequacy, like we were talking about, fear of something happening to us, fear of not doing something right, fear of not being accepted. Fear is a major driving factor in ego. And when you recognize that fear coming up in yourself, look at it and decide, is that coming from ego, or is that, something that, my body or my mind is trying to tell me to look out for? Is that genuinely a red flag, or is that my ego getting in my way again? Because that ego sneaks up on us in so many different ways. And, when you're coming from a place of being genuine and your focus is love and harmony and happiness, it eliminates all of that nasty, dark energy that resonates around that ego frequency. And, when you're genuine, you're going to attract more people, more things that are good, happy, and genuine in your life. And the more you allow yourself to be in these ego-driven situations, even if you're not participating, they will still have an effect on you because you're affected by the frequencies around you. And so the longer you remain in a situation where, ego may be the driving factor, the longer it's going to be and the harder it's going to be for you to get away from that frequency and to try and start to attract the right things into your life. And when it comes to ego and manifestation, which is what this video is all about, we have to recognize that ego and not let it get in the way of what is genuinely right for us, because it's that ego that's in the back of our head and it's doing our thinking for us sometimes. And is it manifesting the right things for us? Is it manifesting situations for us that are what we genuinely want? And I'm going to bet 90% of the time it's probably not. And it might be manifesting situations that are problematic or, troublesome for you. And the way you know the difference is, where is your heart? Where is your heart when it comes to that? And if your heart is into something and your heart is in the matter and you're genuine and you're true and you're honest, ego cannot exist in that place. So, confidence is also the absolute enemy of the ego. And that's true confidence. Somebody that feels like, I've accepted all of the things about myself. I see the good, I see the bad. And I know that I'm a wonderful human being and that I have so much to offer. And I feel confident in being here on this earth. I feel confident that I deserve a place in society. I deserve a place on this earth. And that confidence will carry you through. And that confidence is another place where ego cannot exist. So I just want you guys to, think about how ego might affect your life over the next forever, Pay attention to it when it comes in. Pay attention to feelings that may come up because they may be ego driven. Find out what that is. And I've got a couple questions written down here, and it's like, what is driving my intention? When something comes up and you want to know, is it ego taking the wheel, or is it something genuine here? You need to ask, what's driving that intention? And once you've identified what's driving that intention, then you can decide, is that an ego-based thing, or is that something that's going to be in my best alignment? And that next question is it in my best alignment for my better good, whatever this intention or action may be? And then finally, are the connections you're making genuine? Are you connecting with people that have built up facades and that are living this pretend existence that's based on thoughts and ideas and, whatever they've decided is of importance, right? Or are you connecting in relationships that are fulfilling and where you feel an exchange of love and where you feel a genuine connection? And if you're not, then you need to find a way to get that in your life. Find a way to connect with people that you know are genuine. You know who they are. Go out there, make a connection with those people and bring it into your life. Bring that frequency into your life and start to eliminate anything that isn't serving you with regard to ego. We need to look at our ego and say, how big is that ego? Is it so big it won't fit in the room, or is it so small that no one can see me, right? And when it comes to that, our ego is important. We need an ego, of course. we just don't need our ego to be taking the wheel. We don't need our ego to be driving the bus, because our ego is going to drive the bus right off the cliff. I promise you. Your ego will not serve you well. It doesn't know how to drive. But your ego is there to send up a message to say, hey, there's something here you need to look at. So instead of allowing it to take control, just listen to its subtle messages and take those things into consideration and move forward from a place of genuineness and focus on the direction of love. And you're going to be just fine. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you want to help the channel to grow, be sure and hit that red subscribe button at the bottom of the screen if you're not already an awesome subscriber. And you can also share it with your friends on social media and give me a like and let me know you like the content. I appreciate every single one of you. I wish you all the very best. Take care.